yesterday after the game, because after the game, I noticed that immediately after overtime, the coaches from both teams came, shook hands, did the little handshake line, and then both teams huddled after the game. Then after that, the Mystics team went directly to the locker room, and there seemed to be players from Indiana who thought that they were going to go and dap up players from the other team, do a handshake line. I know they don't technically do handshake lines in the WNBA.
You ever walk away from a game and feel like you just witnessed something way deeper than a box score could ever explain? That's exactly how I felt after watching the Mystics and the Fever go head-to-head from the moment overtime ended. There was something about the energy on the court that stuck with me, and not in a good way. It wasn't just about how the game played out, but what happened or didn't happen after the buzzer. And if you caught my tweet about it, yeah, I saw your reply. Some of you were heated, but before we go there, let me break down exactly what happened and why I felt like I had to say something.
So yesterday's preseason game was interesting. It was interesting. It was heated. It was a big one. Really big performance from Sophie Cunningham. Really good performance from Sonia Citron, from Brittany Sykes, from a lot of players. Great second half from Aaliyah Boston. Pretty good second half from Kelsey Mitchell, for being honest. But it got heated at the end of the game. And I actually had this video recorded last night. Did not have a thumbnail ready for it. I had it recorded when I'm not joking, you saw the Katie Lou video on my phone in a bathroom. I had a video recorded.
Right after overtime ended, the coaches did what they usually do, shook hands, exchanged the typical respect. Both teams huddled up, which is normal. But then, as I watched closely, the entire Mystics team went straight to the locker room. No handshakes, no dap-ups, nothing. And what made it awkward was that it looked like several Indiana Fever players were waiting, expecting the usual post-game acknowledgement.
I'm glad I didn't upload that video. I'm deciding to re-record it now, so I'm like so late to this news. Like, this was something that, like, I would say genuinely, I think I'm super late. It's like 4 p.m. my time, so I'm super duper late to it. But I saw a tweet while I was on the way home, and I got to talk about it. And it was Lucy Olsen responding to this situation. So, Rachel Demita forgot to mention, for some reason, the Mystics didn't shake hands after the game. A few of the Fever players were waving because they were expecting a handshake. Mystics players went straight to the locker room. And a lot of people obviously went to the heads of the Mystics players. So this is what ended up happening right here. So let's take a look. So you can see Sonia Citron, like Jade Melbourne's not looking to shake hands. Is that Shug Sutton?
Some even stood there looking around, kind of confused. They waved a little like, hey, are we doing this? But it just didn't happen. The Mystics just turned and left. I tweeted about it because it honestly surprised me. In pro sports, even if it's not an official handshake line, especially in the WNBA, there's almost always something after the game, whether it's a hug between old teammates, a jersey swap, or just a quick day tab between stars. There's usually a moment of mutual respect. It's not like I was expecting full-on post-game celebrations or anything. It's preseason after all, but to see absolutely no interaction between players, that stood out. And it wasn't just me who noticed. Someone even pointed out to me that there were Mystics rookies waiting around too, looking like they were expecting some sort of interaction. And again, players on the Fever side looked like they wanted to show respect and connect, but then it didn't happen.
Is that number 1 or number 11? Because I just need to check this right here. Because people are like, oh, it was all the rookies. No, that's Shug Sutton. So it wasn't just rookies not knowing what they were doing. So a lot of people were saying that it was just, rookies not knowing. That's not how they do it in the WNBA. Because the first person is looking to shake hands is Shug Sutton. And immediately the vets are telling so obviously Dolson's there waving at Fever. And obviously my face is in the way, I just realized. So you can see, obviously, Shug Sutton is starting the line. At this stage, by the way, the coaches have already shaken hands. They have already shaken hands here. And 3 players were going to line up. Lucy Olsen, Kiki Rice, kind of not sure what to do. And some of the players are going to the locker room. And a lot of people were like, oh, it was bad sportsmanship from the Mystics. Because as you guys can see right after this, the rookies are all being told to leave and they're really confused. They don't know what's going on. So they're just kind of very confused about what's going on. And obviously it's not like a thing like in college. It's not a thing. Someone said that because the Fever were in the huddle, they were all just doing handshakes. Like,
I'm not saying it was malicious, I have no idea why it played out that way, but people saying I'm spreading hate for pointing out what I saw, let's calm down, I'm just being real, I observed something strange. And I talked about it, that's literally my job now. Speaking of Mystics rookies, let's talk about what did go right, because they really impressed me. Lucy Olsen, Sonia Citroen, and Kiki Iriafen all got minutes in the first quarter, which I did not expect. And while they delivered, Sonia Citroen especially, if you didn't know who she was, you'd think she was already a 5-year WNBA vet. That's how smooth and confident she looked out there. Her composure was off the charts if this game was.
I sat courtside for the Indiana Fever's very first preseason game against the Washington Mystics, and I have so much to tell you guys, so let's jump.
Any sign of what she's going to bring this season, watch out. Honestly, I thought she looked even more comfortable on the pro stage than she did in college, which is a huge statement. Her body looked strong, her footwork was on point.
We're going to talk about the Indiana Fever. No Caitlin Clark today. They set her out with a leg injury. A lot of people not happy about that. Mainly people that purchased tickets and drove into the area or even flew into the area to see Caitlin Clark play, and no Caitlin Clark. I can understand how bad those people must feel because, well, hell, I wanted to watch her play too.
And she was just locked in on both ends of the court. There was even this cool little moment when she checked in at the same time as Diana Taurasi. Just seeing a rookie who looks like a future star step on the floor with a seasoned legend like that.
The reality is that at the WNBA, just like the NBA level, if you watch the previous day, they don't have to do handshakes. Sometimes individual players do, but there's no like set handshake line. Whereas sometimes players will go and shake hands with your team. It's a choice player by player. There's no set handshake lines. Maybe there is after a playoff series, but not after every single game in the WNBA, especially not after preseason. No one told them there ain't no handshake line in the pros. And
it gave me chills. It felt like a little torch passing moment, even if it was just symbolic. Lucy Olsen also turned heads. I didn't know how much run she'd get because we haven't seen a ton from her during training camp, but she looked so confident out there. At times she was even running point guard, and she handled it really well. She hit her mid-range shots
during the game, and I will put some of them up here so you guys can see my view and the kind of crowd that I was seeing. For the first, second, and third quarter, that place was pretty full. Now, the upper bowl was not full. There was definitely a lot of seats in the upper bowl, but the 100s levels, 200s levels, the courtside area was all packed. It was
her signature Lucy Olsen mid-range. If you know, you know, and she played hard on defense. I was cheering so hard for her.
It's at the stage where, like, when I made this video, I was like, something must be up, because yeah, there's a little bit heated, but what we saw last year, even listening to like Julie Vanloo and a few Mystics players speak, there's no actual animosity between the Fever and the Mystics. They just played 4 really good games last year. It's a completely justified response. It's a WNBA thing, because if you watch the previous game, if you watch the game the previous night between the Wings and the Aces, they did not shake hands. They did not shake hands, and it looked like some players in the Fever were looking to shake hands. And realistically, that is
Side note, I even ordered an I Love Lucy Olsen sweatshirt a few weeks ago, but it still hasn't arrived. I was hoping to rock that my Georgia Amore tee and my Caitlin Clark jersey all at once. But hey, I was still in full support mode regardless, and Kiki Iriafen, she brought that physical energy in the post. She battled hard with Indiana's bigs and held her own. Obviously, you don't want to see her getting too physical, like that moment where she knocked Sophie down, but at the same time, that kind of toughness is going to serve her well in the WNBA.
It's grand. Like, if teams want to shake hands, it's fine. Maybe they're thinking, you know what, it's preseason. It's preseason, let's go and shake hands, and it's not that competitive. But you know what? That game didn't look like a preseason game yesterday. It really didn't. Players on both sides were heated, and I gotta give credit to both teams. I think both teams came out there and played. They came out there and played. They played hard.
I think she fits in perfectly. Already she looked confident and ready now on the Fever side. Sophie was incredible. Without her, I don't think Indiana would have even stayed in that game. She played with so much fire, hit huge shots, nailed her free throws, and was just everywhere on defense. Super vocal, super hyped. And she really brought energy to the crowd. And speaking of Energy, let's talk about Caitlin Clark for a second. Even though she didn't play, you could still feel her presence the entire time she was in the huddle, hyping up her teammates, basically acting like an assistant coach. And she was chirping the refs like crazy. Classic Caitlin. You could tell she was itching to get on the court. If she could have suited up, she would have.